Welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining me today for this WordPress workshop on a Friday afternoon when the weather is beautiful. I appreciate you being on a computer with me. So hopefully you can all see my screen. You should see the WordPress orange slides and then also the dashboard for the STLS website up on the screen. I'm going to navigate through both of these so that you can see what it looks like in the dashboard and then also see the content of the slides at the same time. One quick update that I want to share with you all is that WP Optimize, which is a plugin that all of your websites should be running, has been causing some issues on member library websites recently. So some folks will get into the library in the morning and maybe try to go to their site and find that it just won't load and it's generating an error. That is probably due to something with this plugin updating incorrectly. That's not your fault. It's just a weird conflict on the back end. So if you could just submit a help desk request, someone in the IT department will help resolve that issue and get your site back online as soon as they can. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to go through Updraft Plus, which is a plugin that helps you make a backup of your website. We'll talk about uploading files, like posting word minutes. We'll talk about updating your menus on your library website. We'll just touch briefly on accessibility and adding alternative text, and then I'll have time for questions. So let's start with Updraft Plus. This is a plugin that allows you to make a backup of your library's website. And so the reason this is important is as you are making changes to the content of your site or updating the theme or putting on new images, anything like that, sometimes our sites crash and they can also be hacked. And so we want to be able to have a backup of our website just in case something like this happens so that you can reach out to STLS through the help desk and say, something's wrong with my site, but you have this backup file saved and STLS can use that file to recover your site and restore it to the latest backup that you've made. So today we'll talk about not only running that backup, but also saving it somewhere that's accessible to you. So Updraft Plus uses a few ways to save backup files, and we're going to cover just one of those options in particular, which is to save the file to Google Drive. So to start this process, and I'm not going to walk through this part, but it should be, I hope, a little bit self-explanatory. We have to create a Google account for the library. So I don't want you to use your personal Google accounts, like you might have a Gmail that you use for yourself, but we want to create an account that's specifically for the library because were you to leave your position or take a month off vacation, we want this to be an account that anyone at the library, staff, the director, volunteers, and someone on the board could access. We want to think about sustainability and planning for people outside of you to be able to access this. So first things first, we need to create that library account. And some of you might already have a Gmail account for your library. And after you create that account, we then need to link it to Updraft Plus. So to do that, we're going to log into your library dashboard. So for folks who have not logged into your library's website before, you just need to type in the URL for your site. So we're going to go to stls.org/login, and it will load this login page like this here. And if you don't know your credentials, you can send me an email and it can help you get set up with a username and a password that will let you into the dashboard. Want to check out what's happening with Updraft Plus. So I know that Updraft Plus is already installed on the STLS website. I know that because I installed it, but I also know because up here across the top, I can see Updraft Plus listed in the top menu. If Updraft Plus is not installed on your library website or you can't find it, please send me an email and I'll work with you to set up a time where we can get that plugin installed. So we know that the plugin is installed and activated here on the site that we're working on, and we want to look at making a backup. So, or we're going to look at the settings. So we're going to hover over Updraft Plus, and this little drop-down menu comes up, and we want to go to settings. You can see it was just taking a moment to load, and here we are. And then we're also within settings under this menu here. You can see here we're in settings. So we have these things set up here. This, we can set it to weekly for member library sites. We back up the STLS site a bit more often. It happens daily because we just have so much content and it's so important for everybody. We need to make sure that our site is backed up more often. But you can set this to weekly and leave it to retain to. And then here we can say set database backup to weekly and also retain to. And then as we scroll down here, we want to choose our remote storage option. And you can see we have Google Drive selected because we are currently using Google Drive to save our backups. And then after you've done that part, when you click on Google Drive, you're just going to scroll down all the way to the bottom and click Save Changes. So I'm not going to do that because ours is already set up. But when you click on Save Changes, it's going to give you this little pop-up box with instructions for signing into that library Google account that you've created. And if this pop-up doesn't come up, we can see here it says Authenticate with Google right here, and there's a Sign in with Google button right here, so we can click on that and sign in with our library Google credentials. So we've followed the little instructions, clicked on Sign in with Google, moving on. That when you click it, sign in with Google, it's going to walk you through the steps you need to take for that plugin to, or for Updraft Plus to connect with your Google account and save your backups to Google Drive. So once you've followed those steps, it's going to start, that plugin, Updraft Plus, is going to start running your backups automatically every week and saving them into your library's Google Drive account. So then if something were to happen with your site, you could submit a help desk request to STLS, letting them know that something's happened, your site's not loading, and then we can use this backup that exists within your library's Google Drive account to save your site and restore it to the latest backup that you've made. It's great that we've got these Updraft Plus backup saving, and it's happening weekly, but let's say it's scheduled to do it on Fridays, and on Monday you decide that you're going to make major changes, you're going to update the theme and change all your menus, and you just want to totally revamp your website. You should make a backup of the most current version of your site before you make any of those major changes, and you can do that manually. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we're on the dashboard as if we've just logged into our site, and we're excited about making these changes. So we're on the dashboard, here we are. We want to hover over Updraft Plus again, and instead of going to settings this time, we're going to click on backup and restore here at the top. All right, and here we are, we've loaded Updraft Plus, and we can see over here, we're on backup and restore. Across these menus here, we're on the first tab on the left, backup, restore. And then right here, there's this big backup now button. So what we want to do is click on backup now. And you can see this pop-up window comes up with some boxes that are already checked. Please keep those settings as they are, they're correct, and then go ahead and click on backup now. I'm not going to do this right now because it will take quite some time to back up our website, and I don't want us to get bogged down waiting for that. But when you click backup now, this window will go away, and then you should see a progress bar start to show you how much time is left to make the backup across the screen here. Just below where it says backup now. That button will go away and you'll see a progress bar that will load as the backup continues to run. And we can see just a bit farther down, it says last log message. So the STLS website just finished backing up at 1 o'clock, or it looks like at 1:07 it completed. So it probably started running at 1 o'clock and finished at 1:07. It says that backup apparently succeeded and is now complete. So that's a great way for you to check to see whether your backup actually ran and was successful. And then if we scroll even further down under existing backups, we can see each of the last times a backup was made up to 4 of the previous backups. So we can see that the STLS site backed up today, June 10th, and that file is right there. Or the record of that happening is there, and the file is stored in Google Drive. We can see the little Google Drive symbol here. So we're going to move on from Updraft Plus. If there are any questions about making backups, go ahead and drop those in the chat and I'll keep an eye, and I can also answer them at the end, so there's no pressure to put them in now. And I'm going to move us into a discussion about uploading files to your library website. So this works for all types of files, but something that is important to have uploaded to your library website are your board meeting minutes. So those should be uploaded to your library's website within 2 weeks of the meeting date. And you can check out Open Meetings Law for instructions on that time frame. That's where I pulled that 2-week date from. So to upload our board minutes, first we want to make sure to save the file somewhere on your computer with a name that makes sense to you, probably, board minutes and then the month and year that this meeting happened. And you want to save it as a Microsoft Word file or a PDF. Either of those is fine. And then make sure you save it in a place like on your desktop or in a folder that you can easily find. And so then we're going to go back to the dashboard as if we've just logged in. Your board secretary sent you the minutes. You've got them saved on your computer. You log into your website. You're ready to upload them now. So we're on the dashboard. And in the left-hand side menu over here, we want to click on Pages. And I don't have to worry about that pop-up. I can just click on the word Pages, and it will automatically load the list of all of the pages that exist within the STLS website, or in your case, within your library's website. We have many pages, 106 of them. Your library probably has less than 20, so it makes it a bit easier to navigate. So once your pages have loaded, we want to find the page where we're going to post the minutes. So you might have a page called Board Minutes or Board Documents or something like that. I'm going to find a page for us to edit. So we'll pretend for today that the advocacy page on the STLS website is where we store board minutes. So let's hit, we're going to, when we find the page where we want to put these items, we'll hover and you'll see the option to edit will appear beneath the title of the page. So we want to click on edit, and it's going to open the back end of that page so that we can edit the content. And so now here we are on the STLS library website advocacy page. And I can show you what this looks like from the front side. So this is what the page looks like to the public. This is all the content that's on this page. And this is what the page looks like from the back side, where we can actually edit what the page says. So if I wanted to add a new document, if I were adding board minutes to this page or some kind of file like board minutes, I would click on this plus button. So for STLS, it's purple, but for you, it's probably blue. And this is up here in the top left-hand corner next to the W for WordPress. So we're going to click on the plus button here. And it's going to open this pop-out and show me all the types of blocks that I can add. So WordPress calls each of these things a block. I can add a paragraph block and type in text. I can add a heading, and it's going to be much larger heading text. I could add a list block, and that would be a bulleted list. And if I scroll down, there's a whole catalog of media types of blocks that I could add. So an image, a gallery of images, a file. So a file is what we are looking for. And if you don't want to look for it through that list, we can just type in file right here and it will come up. So we're going to click on file, and it's automatically going to add this new block all the way down at the bottom of the page. And if that's not where you want that file block to appear, we can see these little arrows here that will allow us to move it up on the page. Here it goes. It's just slowly moving up and up and up and up. And so you can use those arrows to relocate the block within the page. So we've got our new file block here. So we've got that, and we want to upload that minutes file now that you've saved on your computer. So we want to click on upload. And you can see I have a Mac, so I have Apple operating system, but for folks who are on a PC, you would have access to your Windows operating system, and you would just look through your files to find the document that you want to upload. So let's say I want to upload this PDF of registered borrowers. So I'll click on the file that I want. I'm going to hit open. And you can see it's uploaded this file right here in the middle of my page. So one thing about PDF files is that it will sometimes upload them in this embedded viewer. And while it's nice that I can see the file in the middle of the page, it's a little bit inconvenient because it's taking up a ton of space. And if I had a lot of board minutes going back 5 years, I would have a ton of these huge PDF viewers over and over and over again down the page. And that's not really ideal. So what I'm going to do is click on this little gear icon up in the top right-hand corner, and it's going to open a pop-out menu with some settings for this particular block. So we can see we're under block, and it's showing us that we're editing this file block where we are with these registered borrowers PDF of the spreadsheet. And then right here, it says PDF settings, show inline embed. And I don't want that. I want to turn that off. And we can see now registered borrowers has become just a single line of text with a button next to it to download. If you don't like the text that has been entered here, like let's say we want to remove the words STLS here and back it up, you can just put in your cursor and use the backspace key to get rid of the text that you don't like. And then maybe I want to add June 2022 to the end. I just insert my cursor and make modifications to how the file name appears on the screen here. So if your board minutes are saved to your computer with the name, it doesn't look great when you upload the file. You can make modifications like this once you've uploaded the file to the page. And when we're all done making these changes, we want to just make sure that we go up into the top right-hand corner and click on Update, which is going to save our changes. So we can try that out. It says it's updating, that's great. And then down in the bottom left, you can see it says Page Updated, and then it allows us to view the page. So we can open that in a new tab. Here we are. This is the page we just uploaded, and look at that. There is registered borrowers right smack in the middle of this page. And don't forget, if this isn't where we wanted it to be, we've got these great arrows we can use to move it around within the order of the page. And in this particular instance, I don't really want this block to be here. So I'm going to click on the 3 dots at the end of the editing line and hit Remove Block to get this off this page. Okay, so that's uploading files to our website. And now I want to talk to you about updating your menu structure. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And the way to get there from when you're editing a page is to click on the little W up in the top left-hand corner. So I'm going to click on that. And it will take just a moment to load, but it's going to get me back over to the WordPress dashboard. So here we are. It's back in the dashboard. I'm going to click the actual Word dashboard here in the left-hand side to get us back to where we started. This is like the home page of the dashboard. And since we're editing menus, now I'm going to go to a different place within the left-hand side menu over here. So if you've made a new page on your library website, that page exists, but if you don't put it in the menu, your patrons and community members have no way of finding that page unless they know the specific address. It's like if you buy a house and you tell people your address, but they don't use them, they have no access to put it in a map to get there. So we need to put it on the map so that people can get there. So we're going to be on the dashboard and we're going to go into this left side menu and get to Appearance, and we're going to hover on the word Appearance. And in the pop-out menu that comes up, we want to go down to Menus. And we'll click on that. And it's going to load a new portion of the dashboard for us. And so now we are within the Menus menu of the dashboard. And this is the place where we can edit menus on our website. So when I talk about menus, I'm just going to click over to this tab for a moment and go to the home page of the STLS website. All of this content here in the purple bar is what is in our menu structure. So each of these top items, home, about, STLS, services, quick links, for the public, and events calendar, those are our high level menu items. And then the things that show up when I hover on them below each item, those are sub-level menu items. And I'll show you how to make the difference between those two things. So if you had made a new page on your website, maybe you didn't have a board minutes page previously and you need to make one, you would do that under Pages first and add a new page. And I've written these instructions without giving you the step-by-step for adding a new page. If you need a tutorial on doing that, let me know and we can schedule a separate consultation for making new pages. This assumes you've already made a new page and you're familiar with that process. So you've got your new page. We'll pretend it's Annual Report to the State, Fiscal Year 2021. We can see that page is here and I want to get that page into the menu. So these are all of my pages in this box here over on the left. And then over here on the right hand side under Menu Structure, these are all of my menu items that currently exist in the menus on the STLS website. And you can see everything that's fully justified to the left: home, about, services, quick links, for the public, and events calendar are all of those same items that were listed in the purple bar across the public-facing page for the STLS website. And then all of these items that are justified a bit to the right, are items that fall beneath them and are called sub-items under About STLS or under Services, under Quick Links. And they show up in these pop-up menus here when we hover. So if I want to add annual report to the state to my menu structure, I'm going to check the little box next to it and click Add to Menu. You can see it's thinking about it, making it happen for us. That's great. And now when I scroll down, we can see Annual Report to the State has appeared here at the bottom of the list of items in the menu. But maybe I don't want it to be a high-level item. I want it to be a sub-item. Maybe it doesn't make sense for it to be under Events Calendar, so I want to move it up. We can see from what I'm showing you now that I already have this page built into the STLS menu structure, but if it were something new, this is how I would get it here. So I can drag it around, I can make it a sub-sub item, so it can be a sub-item of my already existing annual report to the state page. Just play with sliding that box around to where you need it to be within your menu structure. When you are finished moving it into the position that you want it to be in, you can click on Save Menu and it will save your changes. And if you've added a page that you don't want to be there, we can click on the little drop-down arrow next to the page name here and click Remove, and it will take it out of the menu structure. And then I'll click Save Menu. There's my reminder to you, just make sure you save your changes. You do have to scroll down if you have a long menu like we do. Just make sure you find the Save button down here at the bottom. All right, let me just check in on the chat, see how folks are doing. Does each month go into a separate block? Linda, that's a great question. So my answer to you would be yes, because each time you upload a file block, it's a new block. So you're going to have to go into your page and add a new block for every file that you upload. So every month when you go to upload your board minutes, you're going to go to your board minutes page, click on that plus button in the top corner and add a file block for every month of minutes that you're adding, and then you'll just keep them in a line. Great. So let's talk briefly about adding alternative text. This is a topic that I've covered in another workshop when I talked about website accessibility, but it's just something I like to continue to remind you all of because it's so important for folks who might have low screen, they might struggle with visual impairment when looking at screens. So adding alternative text means that if they're using a screen reader, their computer will read the content that you type into the alternative text field instead of just telling them nothing about the images that you've used on your site. So in order to check our alternative text, we're going to go into the media library. So let's start again from the dashboard homepage, as if we've just logged into our website. So here we are, the homepage of the dashboard. We want to look at our media library. So I'm just going to click on media over on the left-hand side, and it's going to automatically open the media library for me. And this will show us all of the media that's uploaded to our library's website. And we want to make sure that our images have alternative text. So I know that this image needs some alternative text of the alert bell. So if I click on it, I can see over here on this right-hand side, there's no alternative text entered in this box. I want to add some alternative text. So I'm going to type in orange alert bell. You want to describe what is in the image. So this one's sort of easy because it's a pretty basic image. I recommend that you watch the recording of my previous webinar on website accessibility because I talk in more detail about how to describe a more complex image. I can drop an image or a link to that in the chat in just a little bit so that you can return to that if you're interested in it. You can also just do a quick Google search for alternative text best practices, and there will be plenty of articles that come up to talk about how you can best describe an image so that it has meaningful alternative text that is also succinct and easily understood by someone who's using a screen reader. There is no save button here. I just want to mention that quickly. So once I've typed in my alternative text, I can just, you can see it's spinning up here in the top right corner, and now it says saved right here. Oh, it disappeared, but it will automatically save after you are done editing, and you can just click the little X And now if I go back into my alert bell, we can see it has saved automatically the alternative text that I entered. It's a good idea to go through your library's media library, your library website's media library, and make sure that all of your images have alternative text added. Depending on the library, some of you might find that you only have a handful of images in here, and it will be an easy task to go through and add alternative text for them. For others, if you have a lot of images uploaded, it's going to take some time. But you might find that there are images that are uploaded to your website that you don't need anymore, and so you can remove those from your site. This is a great chance to clear out your media library, delete the files that you're not using, and then do add alternative text for the images that are still being used on your site. And for files like this PDF, we don't need to add alternative text for those. So if it's a file, don't worry about adding alternative text, but do add it for anything that's an image within your library. This is just some more detail in the slides about how to add that alternative text. So we've breezed through a lot of content. And for some who are new to website editing, I'm sure that was a lot to cover in just a brief amount of time. Are there questions out there on the call that you all might have?
Erica.
Hi, Linda.
Hi. I was trying to do my board minutes, and that PDF preview thing keeps coming up. Can you go through that just one more time on how you turn that off?
Absolutely. Let's take a look at that. Thanks, Linda. So I'm going to go back to Pages in the dashboard here. I'm going to click on Pages. And Linda, I know you might already be there, but I'm just going to walk through the steps in full.
Okay.
So I'll search for the page that I want to edit. For me, I'm just going to edit the advocacy page again. So I'm searching for that page. And now I'm going to click on Edit under the page, so it opens the back end of the page where I can make changes. Here I am. I'm going to add a new block, search for file, add the file block, upload my file, get the registered borrower's PDF, hit open, and now it's uploaded this file. The PDF is displaying within the preview box. I don't like that. It's too big. So up in the top right corner, there's a little gear icon. I'm going to click on that. It says settings when I hover on it. It's going to open this pop-out customize options for the block. And under PDF settings, I want to toggle off show inline embed. And we can see that my PDF preview disappeared, and now all I get is the name of the file and the download button.
I have one more.
All right, Linda, let's hear it.
Well, I put up our policies.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing it the same way I was doing the minutes, which, so each policy gets a block. And it's like long. Is
Yeah.
there any way? Somebody said I could put all of the policies that relate to circulation and stuff like that together into one document and then upload it just as one document. But then that seems really hard to search. So it's the best way to do it, just put up all, however many of them there are.
I'm going to pull up your website just to see what you've got going.
Yeah, I kind of ended it. I mean, it's there, but I kind of gave up.
Oh, it's going to open a random Dundee.
It's there's a thing up there, board policies. I think it's under About Us.
Okay. Let's see, library policies. Here we are. Okay. So you feel like what you've got going right now is just too much?
Yeah, it just seems like it's a lot. I mean, it's going to be a long page.
Yeah. I guess it depends on the kind of experience you want to provide for your users, because like you said, if you break out your circulation policy into the individual documents, it's certainly going to be a longer list on this page. Or you can upload a single PDF of all circulation policies, and then they would have to download the file and then Control F to find what they're looking for, or scroll through.
Right.
So I think either is an acceptable practice. For someone who does not have a high level of digital literacy and computer literacy in particular, downloading and Control Fing for that file might be more of a challenge than just
Right.
looking on the page for the specific part of the CERC policy that they're interested in. So I suppose I would advocate for that option, even though it means that this page will be quite a bit longer and require some scrolling.
Or like I thought of them, like, you see, I've got like board governance, financial management,
Mm-hmm.
personnel. If I did like one big PDF of all the board governance ones, and then another one of all the financial management ones,
Mm-hmm.
then it wouldn't be as long a page, but it would be, people have to scroll through however many policies there are.
Yeah, and I doubt that many folks are going to be looking at your board governance or financial management policies. So I think that making those into a consolidated PDF is a fine approach because they're probably going to be less popular. But then the ones that are directed specifically at the public, like your CERC policy and use of library space, I think it's a good idea to break those out into individual links.
Well, yeah, because it's like we found out, like, we just did a community room policy because we never had a community room policy until we built one.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people ask us for that. So I thought it was good that that's right there where they can see it.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's a great way to have that organized. And I think what you're doing with this page so far makes sense. I love that you have the large headings that divide it into the specific chunks of policy. I think that's a great approach.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would
And
keep,
I'm putting them all in PDFs so nobody can like take them and change them. I mean, they could, but
you're right.
like
Yeah, but
if it's in a document, somebody could just download it, use it, and change it.
yes, I would advocate in general that if you're uploading documents, whether it's board minutes or policies, whatever the case may be, that you upload it as a PDF. You can upload it as a Word document, but if you're able to get it into a PDF format, that's the best practice.
Okay. I think
Thanks.
I now I just have to sit down and do it all.
The fun part. Lynn, I see that you have some questions in the chat. I'm going to pull up the Hammondsport site. Lynn, the way that you have your board minutes uploaded is just fine. This is how it would appear, kind of this in the same style when I uploaded as links. So this is just fine. And it's great that you have consistent use of the same language for every file name here. That's great. So I think what you're doing is a good approach. I'm just going to click to see what happens. Yeah, so when I click on the link, it opens the PDF, and that's exactly what we want to see. So there are, like with many things, there are multiple ways to achieve the same. I'm sorry, my screen is paused, so you guys can't see what I'm doing. I've got it back up here. So there are multiple ways to achieve the same goal, and with uploading files in WordPress, there are at least 4 ways to do it. And today I've shown you one way. And I think that that way is easy. But Lynn, you know the way that you've been doing it. So just go ahead and keep doing it the way you've been doing it because it's working for you. And we can see that your minutes are uploaded here. So that's just fine. Before we hop off, I'll reiterate, if something happens where your site crashes in the next couple of weeks, it's probably because of that WP Optimize plugin malfunctioning. So don't panic, just submit a help desk request. Go ahead and put it in with high urgency because we do want to get your website back online as soon as possible. And the folks in IT will be able to fix that issue, no problem. Just make sure you let us know if you notice that your site isn't loading or something looks weird. Submit that help desk request and we'll get back to you and get that fixed as soon as we can.